For centuries, travelers had whispered of a city hidden beyond these walls, a city carved not by the hands of gods, but by a people whose ingenuity rivaled the legends of Atlantis and the architects of the pyramids. Petra. The name itself was a riddle, a promise, a challenge. And tonight, as the moon rose over the Jordanian desert, the city's secrets stirred once more. It began with a question: how did a forgotten tribe of nomads build a metropolis in the heart of the world's harshest wilderness? The answer, as it turned out, was more astonishing than anyone could have imagined. Long before the Romans marched across the sands, before the Crusaders dreamed of holy wars, the Nabataeans were already masters of the desert. They were traders, wanderers, and most importantly, survivors. Their caravans snaked across the ancient world, bearing frankincense, myrrh, spices, and silk. But it was not their wealth that set them apart. It was their vision. The Nabataeans saw what others could not, that the desert, with all its dangers, was not a barrier, but a fortress. And so, in the 4th century BCE, they began to carve their city into the living rock, hidden from the eyes of empires and invaders. Petra was their masterpiece, a city of temples, tombs, and palaces, all hewn from the rose-red cliffs. But Petra was more than a city. It was a puzzle, a labyrinth of secrets waiting to be unraveled. As the first rays of dawn crept over the horizon, a group of modern explorers, historians, archaeologists, and thrill-seekers stood at the entrance to the Seek. Among them was Dr. Alex Carter, a professor whose obsession with lost civilizations had cost him sleep, relationships, and, some whispered, his sanity. He was joined by Layla Haddad, a Jordanian researcher with a knack for deciphering ancient scripts, and Marcus Reed, a documentary filmmaker whose camera never blinked. They had come to Petra not just to marvel, but to solve a mystery that had haunted scholars for generations. How did the Nabataeans create a city that defied the laws of nature and time? The Seek narrowed, the walls pressing in, until suddenly, like a curtain rising on a stage, the path opened onto the Treasury. Al-Khazneh. Its facade glowed in the morning light, columns and statues emerging from the rock, as if conjured by magic. The explorers stood in awe, but Dr. Carter's eyes were already searching for clues. "Look at the water channels," Layla whispered, tracing her fingers along a groove in the stone. "They brought water from miles away, in the desert." It was true. The Nabataeans had engineered a network of dams, cisterns, and aqueducts that captured every drop of rain, storing it for the dry months. Their technology was so advanced that even today, engineers marvel at its efficiency. Petra was not just a city, it was a miracle of survival. But the city's greatest secret was still hidden. As the team ventured deeper, they passed tombs carved with faces worn smooth by centuries of wind. They entered the street of facades, where the dead watched over the living, and climbed the steps to the Monastery, a colossal temple perched high above the valley. Each monument told a story of kings and queens, of gods and mortals, of triumph and tragedy. Yet, beneath the beauty, there was a sense of unease. Petra was a city built on the edge of the desert, of empires, of oblivion. And as the explorers soon discovered, its history was as turbulent as the sands that surrounded it. The Nabataeans had thrived by playing the great powers against each other, trading with the Greeks, the Romans, the Persians. But their independence came at a price. In 106 CE, the Roman Empire finally conquered Petra, absorbing it into the province of Arabia Petraea. The city's fortunes waned, its secrets buried beneath layers of sand and silence. But Petra refused to die. Centuries later, in year 1812, a Swiss explorer named Johann Ludwig Burckhardt disguised himself as an Arab and rediscovered the lost city. His journals described a place of wondrous beauty and mystery, a city that seemed to exist outside of time. The world was captivated. Petra became a symbol of lost knowledge, a testament to human ingenuity, and a magnet for those who sought answers to the unanswerable. Back in the present, Dr. Carter and his team pored over ancient inscriptions, searching for evidence of a lost technology rumored to have powered the city. Some believed the Nabataeans had harnessed the power of the stars, aligning their temples with celestial events. Others whispered of a hidden chamber beneath the Treasury, where the city's greatest treasuress, and perhaps its greatest dangers, were concealed. One night, as the desert wind howled and the stars blazed overhead, Layla made a discovery that would change everything. In a remote corner of the city, she found a series of symbols carved into the rock symbols that matched those found in distant Egypt and Mesopotamia. The implications were staggering. Had the Nabataeans been part of a network of ancient civilizations, sharing knowledge and technology across continents? The team's excitement was tempered by a growing sense of dread. For every answer they uncovered, new questions emerged. Why had the Nabataeans vanished so suddenly? What had happened to their knowledge, their technology, their culture? And what secrets still lay buried beneath the sands? As they delved deeper, the explorers encountered evidence of a catastrophic event, a massive earthquake that had struck Petra in the 4th century CE, toppling buildings and shattering the city's infrastructure. The Nabataeans, already weakened by Roman rule and shifting trade routes, could not recover. Petra was abandoned, its secrets left to the desert. But the story did not end there. In the shadows of the monastery, Dr. Carter stumbled upon a hidden chamber, its entrance concealed by centuries of debris. Inside, the walls were covered in intricate carvings, maps, star charts, and what appeared to be instructions for building the city's water system. It was a blueprint, a manual for survival in the harshest of environments. The implications were staggering. The Nabataeans had not just built a city, they had created a legacy, a message for future generations. Their knowledge had not been lost, but hidden, waiting for those with the curiosity and courage to seek it out. As dawn broke over Petra, the explorers emerged from the chamber, their minds reeling with possibilities. The city was no longer just a relic of the past, it was a beacon, a reminder that even in the face of oblivion, human ingenuity endures. The story of Petra is not just the story of a lost city. It is the story of all who have dared to dream, to build, to defy the odds. It is a story of resilience, of mystery, of wonder. And as the sun rose over the rose-red cliffs, casting long shadows across the ancient stones, one thing was clear. Petra's secrets were far from exhausted. For every question answered, a dozen more remained. The city still whispered to those who would listen, inviting them to lose themselves in its labyrinth, to become part of its story. So, the next time you find yourself standing at the edge of the unknown, remember Petra's Nabataean marvel. Remember the people who carved a city from stone, who turned the desert into a garden, who left behind a legacy that still dazzles and confounds. And remember, the greatest mysteries are not those that are solved, but those that endure, calling us to explore, to question, to wonder. If you enjoyed this journey into the heart of ancient mystery, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. The adventure never ends, and the next secret is always just around the corner.